resentment toward African Americans. In a post-9/11 age of globalization and immigration, white outgroup hostility better captured the resentment that included anger toward the Latinx and Muslim populations as well as African Americans. We also recognize the need to broaden our focus beyond electoral behavior to include how white outgroup hostility stormed into the mainstream of American politics via social movement organizing. Trump rode to the White House by exploiting an organized movement that fanned the white resentment toward outgroups. These developments have led to what we term a mainstreaming of racism in American politics, something that goes beyond electoral politics and is likely to outlast Trump's presidency. The research we review in this book confirms this conclusion in great detail. Consistent with that assessment, we end this book by suggesting what can be done about this troubling development that lends irony to the term post-civil rights era. We consulted a wide variety of colleagues as we sought to bring together research on social movements and electoral behavior. We want to thank Kathy Schneider and Kim Williams for their deep knowledge of social movement theory. As he has so often before, Mark Peffley provided sage advice on the study of racism and helped push us in the direction of studying the effects of racial attitudes on political action. Francis Fox Piven helped improve our arguments by reminding us about the dangers posed by resurgent racism in the era of Trump. Christopher Parker provided great suggestions on a full draft, as did Heath Brown. David Abraham also read the full manuscript and provided extremely helpful commentary and corrections. Brianne Wolfe provided initial copy editing, as she has done so competently in the past for us. Ryan Schram gave us the title for the book and offered sound criticism on terminology, including, among other considerations, about how to characterize the sources of white outgroup hostility and the ethnocentric dangers of calling polarized politics tribalistic. Jack Schram provided an informed and detailed perspective on the new white extremist groups. Joan Schram commented effectively on our prose. Horace Bartolo, Alan Draper, Fred Exo, George Hawley, Ruth Milkman, Dana Patton, Charles Tien, John Wallach, Lena Newton, Michael Lee, and Leah Nelson also contributed much appreciated, thoughtful comments about the arguments in the book as we were writing. Daisy Crispin supplied effective research assistance, especially regarding Chapter 6. Finally, we are grateful to Brenda Hansen and Matthew Thomas for providing valuable research assistance, as well as Heidi Byrick and her staff at the Southern Poverty Law Center for providing the data on white nationalist groups that we use throughout the book. Our editor, Angela Schnapko, was excellent in shepherding the book from inception to completion. She made critical suggestions regarding the focus and the production of the book. The staff more generally at Oxford University Press professionally produced the book, and we are most appreciative of their competence as well as their kindness. Haripriya Ravichandran effectively managed the production of the book. The anonymous reviewers who read the manuscript did so very carefully and recommended improvements that greatly strengthened the final manuscript. We have been researching and writing together for years. Once again, our collaboration was its own source of joy. This time, just the two of us, without our longtime collaborator, Joe Soss, whose insights and efforts we missed. There were the usual tensions regarding deadlines, but the intellectual frisson from learning from each other was beyond anything either of us could rightly expect. We hope the final result will give readers a sense of not just how fraught our racial politics is today, but how, if we work together to study it and think through what to do about it, we can make a meaningful difference. 1. The mainstreaming of racism in American politics. Race casts a long shadow over the history of U.S. politics. In recent decades, white Americans have been prone to convince themselves that the Civil Rights Movement, CRM, of the 1960s put racism in the past. A post-civil rights society, it was said, was colorblind. It was almost Christian. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. died for our sins, and now we were saved. By the time Barack Obama became the first non-white president, many people, white and non-white, could tell themselves